Earlier this week, we reported that Hoboken fiscal monitor Judy Tripodi issued layoff notices to the city fire department. The plan calls for 4 battalion chiefs and 6 captains to be demoted, as well as 2 civilian clerks being laid off effective May 22nd. Acting Fire Chief Richard Blohm is not pleased, saying he was not consulted with regard to a needs assessment of the department or what risk the community might face as a result of the reductions.
In effect, I will have 1 secretary to handle all the administrative functions as a clerk for the entire fire department and its interaction with the community. We have 132 man and woman fire department, so just internally it's going to be a nightmare. As far as officer staff, if all of these demotions occur, myself and the fire official will be the only 2 officers on an administrative capacity to run the entire fire department. Nobody's ever asked me about that. So I don't know how I'm going to do that yet at this juncture. I'll wait to see if there's any reasonableness that occurs, if there's some reconsideration with regard to the numbers, but I was not consulted.
Blohm says the demotions may result in the closure of 1 or 2 fire companies.
We're supposed to have a supervisor on every fire apparatus. We have 7 fire apparatus in this community. I wrote a $1 million grant that paid for most of the costs associated with salary and benefits for 10 firefighters. With that increase in firefighters and our existing officer staff, I opened up a 7th fire company last year. I started on this department in 1977, and we had 6 fire companies. 30 years into the future, as of last year, we still had 6 fire companies. Yet the infrastructure has changed dramatically in those 3 decades. There are over 5,000 new residential units in this community. The demographics as far as population has doubled. For anybody to even consider that we do not need that additional fire company is ridiculous. We have to have that extra fire protection because of the magnitude of this community and the density of this community. Every fire company has to have a supervisor. It would be detrimental to the safety of those firefighters, and those fire officers are paid more money than a firefighter because those individuals are trained to manage a particular function at an emergency scene. The firefighters themselves follow the orders of that captain. If I don't have a captain, we're leaving it up to the designs of the individual firefighters to make decisions that they're not trained to do. That jeopardizes the firefighters, and it could potentially jeopardize the citizens that they're sworn to protect.
The acting chief says the demotions and layoffs would result in a savings of $62,000 through the remainder of this fiscal year, ending on June 30th. Blohm says the savings for the next fiscal year, ending on June 30th, 2010, would be approximately $254,000.
I walked across to the tax assessor's office with those numbers, and I asked them to tell me what would be the savings to a resident in this community that pays taxes. He said, everybody pays different. I said, well, what do you have on your computer screen right there? Let's use that as a model. He had a property that was assessed at $186,700. The taxes on that piece of property were $8,016. By taking these 2 financial models of dollar amounts that the city would save, one with the balance of this year, that individual saves nominal amount of money. For the balance of an entire year, that taxpayer assessed at $186,000 will have another $35 in his pocket. Now, the question begs to be asked, what is the balance of risk that the community is willing to accept to put a few more dollars, $35, in their pocket? I think I know the answer to that. I just don't know that it's been spelled out in black and white to the residents of this community.
Acting Chief Blohm adds, in addition to the targeted layoff notices and demotions, every battalion chief and fire captain has been issued a general layoff notice. Blohm hopes he gets the opportunity to sit down with the fiscal monitor to discuss the reorganization and restructuring of the department based upon the numbers, if in fact these layoffs take place. He also says he awaits the release of the forensic audit of the fire department, something he adds he was never consulted on.